All right, so you're welcome back. This is still TV3 New Day, and it's time to have a conversation. Of course, we're entering the Christmas season, and that means that a lot of merrymaking, a few people letting their guards down. And you know that usually in Ghana during Christmas season as well, we welcome the Harmattan season, and so things are more dry. The weather is dry, of course, and also very humid. But at the same time, it is when we're told that a lot of fire disasters occur. And so how do you prepare yourself for this season of merrymaking, yet a season where you have to be a bit more careful and a bit more conscious? And that's the conversation we're going to be having this morning. Joining us in the studio is ADO2, Alex Kingnate. He's the Assistant Divisional Officer for the Ghana National Fire Service PR department. Good to have you in the studios. What does ADO mean, by the way?
Assistant Divisional Officer.
Oh, that's what it means.
2 years. So that's like a lieutenant or an ESP in the police.
For 2 years. So that's why you have two.
No.
Or it's just the level?
From 2 I'll go to 1.
Okay. So you count it backwards when it comes to
so like second lieutenant, first lieutenant. So ADO2, ADO1.
So from ADO1, then what?
DO3, Divisional Officer Grade 3. So then there's no more assistant.
Oh, I see. After DO, then what?
Then ACFO.
I thought it's just I see. Anyway, good to have you in the studio. You look really nice. I was asking about your uniform and how it looks different, because usually when we talk about fire service, we're used to the brown. And so this is a different outfit for the day.
On Wednesdays.
On Wednesdays.
Yes, please.
We are ritual. You have different uniforms for different days.
Swag up some more.
Yeah, swagging up, of course, ahead of the Christmas celebration as well.
Definitely.
Are you looking forward to it?
Yes, we're looking forward to it. As a service, we are prepared. We are on top of our games because we record a lot of fires during the Christmas festivities. During the Christmas, a lot of people cook to share with family, friends, and loved ones. And it's important that you adhere to fire safety precautions during these times. We encourage people not to keep their cylinders inside in their rooms, so that when even there's a leakage on the cylinders, because it's outside, it doesn't pose a threat. But once it's inside and it's confined within a certain area, then the gas stands in any source of ignition could be disastrous. Well,
I'm going to ask you this question now as a Ghanaian, because I'm sure that there are a lot of people who have their gas cylinders in the kitchen, and day in, day out, you're being told that that is a wrong practice. You need to have it outside. And so if you can get someone to connect your tube through your wall to the outside, of your home, then it's even safer because you cannot afford to have it in. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. Of course, fire safety precautions as well. And so we'll go into the details of it. Yes. So let's start off with exactly what you have to tell our viewers.
Okay, first. So I wanted to go through some precautions with you, but then again, the most important thing for people to know is that when you call us for fires, we do our best to respond. There are excruciating circumstances that prevent us from sometimes getting to the scenes of fires, such as traffic, such as people blocking roads to have pajamas and bunyo parties and all, which becomes a bit of a problem, because when we get there and we meet hindrances like this, we'll have to now find alternative routes to try and reach people. So we always encourage people to get a first aid or a fire extinguisher, so that because when you call us and we're on our way, the fire will not be waiting. The fire will still be burning. So it's important that when at the incipient stage, when the fire is at its early stages, you find a way to manage the fire until our men get there.
Does the law back the need to have a fire extinguisher in every house?
Very important.
So it is a legal requirement.
It's a legal requirement.
But we have not been able to achieve that as a country. Do we have statistics as to how many homes in the country even have fire extinguishers?
I don't have the statistics with me available now, but I know we are in talks with some private partners to provide fire extinguishers to homes. It's an arrangement that's been launched, and I think in a few, probably from next year, next 2 years, that program will be rolled out.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
So just wanted to, people normally have extinguishers at home, but they don't know how to use them.
True.
People will tell you that, oh, memia emba. They don't even know how to, use it. So apart from helping you with a few safety tips, I feel it's important that people get to acquaint themselves with how best to use fire extinguishers to manage fires, to prevent any. So in fire service, we have a simple acronym that we use, PASS. PASS.
Okay.
Pull, aim, squeeze, and spread.
What are we pulling?
Okay, so
How are we aiming? What will we squeeze and spread?
Okay, so there are different types of fire extinguishers.
Okay.
We have a lot of fire extinguishers. What we have here for now is these two, which is mainly what are used primarily every time.
Okay.
The carbon dioxide and then the dry chemical powder.
Hold on. Carbon dioxide is in the red?
No. So that's why it's important to know this. They're identified by their horns.
Okay.
So carbon dioxide normally have bigger horns.
Ah.
And then the CO2s have these the
tubes.
dry chemical powders have these tubes.
Okay. Why so?
Because of the content and how it comes out.
Okay.
This is a powder. It comes out through the tube and its content, you know, just like a powder comes out. If the powder should come out through a big opening like this, you can imagine how, but then once it's a powder, it helps you aim and then it's flexible for you to tackle the fire.
Okay.
I'll demonstrate how this would come out and then maybe you'll understand why the mouth. So people normally see their extinguishers at home and then when there's fire, they are scared. So they take it and then it's not working and they'll panic and run away. Every fire extinguisher has a safety pin here.
Okay.
So you pull the safety pin. If you don't
Everyone should have that?
Yes.
Okay.
If you don't pull the safety, so that it prevents accidental discharge.
Ah.
It prevents accidental discharge. So once you pull out the pin, then you aim at the fire. When there's a fire, the mistake people normally do is that they aim at the top fire, you know, but it's important to aim at the base of the fire.
Okay, but if I'm outside the building, it's blazing, I can only see through the window. How do I aim?
No. So that's why you don't even have to try quenching the fire when the building is blazing. Leave it to us.
Okay.
But when it starts at the incipient stage, and you know, when it's just starting, then use the fire extinguisher.
Oh, okay.
So once you've called our men and they're on their way coming, then you try to manage the fire.
Okay.
So that you don't, so that you avoid burning or getting the building burning at a very uncontrollable stage.
I thought they said that when you notice a fire in your home, the first thing to do is to run out because you don't know if there are any combustible items inside.
Okay.
So if you're telling us that we should reach out for a fire extinguisher first, let's say the fire has just started maybe in my bedroom, but I have perfume bottles and all those combustible items, you know, on my table. Okay. Am I not supposed to run out just in case the fire catches those items?
So again, it's as a discretion. Probably if you've seen that it's not spreading, if you have that's why you always have to have the fire extinguisher handy, close by. So you can probably try using an extinguisher before it's your room. You know where the combustible materials are. If it's just probably here, you know these are the couch. Yeah. You can just use it here. And if probably you have the perfume here, you can use it over here to prevent the fire from spreading to the more combustible areas.
Okay, okay. All right, carry on now.
Yes, please. So so you pull the safety pin, you aim at the fire, then the squeeze, don't worry, you won't die, sorry. So
are you going to squeeze it?
I'll squeeze it. It won't cause any trouble, don't worry. So you squeeze, and then, you see, no, but you see that.
Oh, but it's not giving the powder.
Yes. No, this is the carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that doesn't leave the residue like the other one.
So this is advisable even in the kitchens during gaseous fires and even fires involving oil. Oh, okay. But when you use the dry chemical powder in your kitchen, it's poisonous. So it can leave residue on your cooking utensils. Yeah. So if not washed properly, it can be poisonous for you. Wow.
Okay. So advisably, this is what should be
used even in the kitchen.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay. So people normally die out of fear before the fire actually kills them. Because as I pressed it, I realized that you're running away. Yeah. But then it shouldn't be something, you can even try it yourself.
Is it not heavy?
It is, but so the good thing is that because you're aiming at the seat of the fire is normally at the is normally down. So then you can even have it down and then exert your
Hey, don't be my first time in my life. Actually using this.
Yes.
And this is what I find in homes most of the time.
Exactly. So that's ideal. So when there's a fire, when there's a fire involving an electricity meter, someone might probably get scared and by impulse pick a bucket of water and pour it. You end up killing yourself and killing everyone who might be around you, because water is a good conductor of electricity.
Yeah.
So it's important that you have a fire extinguisher handy. Immediately you see any fire involving your meter, you can just reach out for a fire extinguisher. So you can, if you're not sure of what to use, probably you're running an industry, you're not sure of what to use, those are always open. You can go to any of our fire stations. We have qualified men, both at the safety departments, operational men, who gladly orient you on how best to place the fire extinguishers at vantage points and how to use them to make sure that you're safe.
Quick question, by the way. So I'm in the kitchen, there's some fire, the stove is on, so the gas is still leaking.
Okay.
I sprayed this on there.
Okay.
Should I turn off or should I just leave and... because it's also very dicey. You might be scared to get closer to your cooker to turn off, because the gas will still be running, even if you douse the fire.
Okay, so what you can put, when you probably see a fire, try putting it off on the stove. If you're not able to put it on the stove, that's why we always advise people to keep their cylinders outside. You can quickly rush outside and turn off the supply from the cylinder. Okay. Then it cuts supply. Also, one thing that people need to know is that occasionally it's important to test whether you have leakages on your tubes.
Okay.
One way to do it is to make a foamy water. And then run the tube. Let's presume this is the tube to the cylinder.
Yeah.
Run the tube of the cylinder through the water and look out for bubbles.
Bubbles, okay. If there are bubbles, you need to change your
then you need to change your
tube.
You know, so you don't connect. You disconnect this from the stove, but you put on the gas by the cylinder. Then you hold it so that you know there's gas inside. Then you run it through the water. Look out for bubbles.
Oh, even with the gas in it?
Yes. Because then without the gas, you can't see any bubble.
Oh, okay.
So there needs to be gas flowing. So you cover it. So you do it at a safe place where you're sure there's no source of ignition.
I see. Okay.
Yes.
This is something new that we're learning.
You know, and as a service, we keep improving on ways. As I talk right now, we started our maiden fire conference. It's a program that we are having with major stakeholders to better see how best to serve people.
Okay.
We realized that even one thing that we are trying to do is the introduction of the rapid response vehicles. We realize our vans are very big. Whenever there's fire, you know, we need people to give us more space, and it becomes difficult to penetrate. So, excuse my language.
Of course.
So, with these rapid response vehicles, these are pickups, and they easily get to people. So we are doing our very best to hold stakeholder engagements with people to better serve people. So at GIMPA, from today till Friday, we have the Maiden Fire Conference happening right now. So as a service, we don't renege on our commitment to better serve people.
Is it safe to use this on your cars as well?
Yes, this is safe to use on your cars. Because then this is ideal for electrical fires. If not to draw you back to this sad event, but the fire that happened at Oprah's
Circle,
Vienna City,
Vienna City.
You realize that it was raining on that day, but there was still fire. So out of ignorance, people ask us that Mobij now Mundu Mejano and the moon is Suana. That's because you don't use fire to quench every kind of we don't use water to quench every kind of fire. Because if we use water to quench every kind of fire, that fire will probably have not even happened at all. You know, so it's important that people learn to respect and understand our men and our modus operandi, because when we get there, we need to do our initial assessment to see if it's a fire involving electricity. Then we call on electricity company to cut power supply to the area before we're able to fight fires. So when we get there, that doesn't... You
always need to do your assessment.
Exactly. So we would never move without water.
No, if someone...
no, it's all part of the assessment.
So I should die?
No, you see, you being in there is all part of the assessment. When we get there, we'll ask who is in there. You know, it's all part of that. When we get there, we ask what happened, who is in there, do you have any... So that's the first thing we do. If there's someone in there, apart from fighting fires, people always limit us to firefighting. We do
rescue team as well,
and then extrication. So once we know there's someone in there, saving the person is our utmost. So it's all part of the assessment. So after rescuing the person, then we look at extinguishing the fire.
I see. Quick one before we wrap up. So yes, we're talking about the festive season, and one thing that's very synonymous with the festive season is firecrackers. a lot of people would want to play around that, of course. In a very jubilant mood, you'd want to also release that. But how should they stay safe, even when they want to have fun?
Well, I know the little I know. I know
so knockouts, just in case, yeah.
Yes, I know it's been.
Tunte is what we call it. Yeah, that's one.
I know it's been banned, but I think if you have to have fun, you can do it at a safe space. Maybe at a park where there are no settlements there, because people, especially markets, people keep cylinders. There was a fire at Mile 7, and there were so many explosions because people had kept cylinders in their shops. So you have to be mindful of the areas or the places that you'd set off these firecrackers. Okay. If it's in an empty park, a very big field, the risk might be a bit lower than doing it at a place that has inhabitants there. Okay. That might probably have people who have cylinders and other combustible materials in there. Also, I know the World Cup coming up, people will be excited about the World Cup. Please, it's important that when you go to a public space to watch the World Cup, be mindful of we have what we call means of escape. If just look out if they have more than one escape routes. Okay. Because you might all be packed, the euphoria is much, and if there's any fire, everyone will be rushing out. So you have to look out and be sure that they are adhering to safety
emergency
protocols.
Exits, yeah.
And then where you park your car is also very important. Make sure you're not parking your car near a high tension pole, or maybe where someone is probably
frying
plantain
and gobe. Okay.
Or probably burning something.
So if you're going to buy gobe and the woman is frying plantain, move your car forward small. Don't park in front of her.
Don't be too excited about the gobe.
On that note, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure we'll have you back later to educate us more on the fire safety rules. I've been speaking to ADO2 Alex King-Nate. He's Assistant Divisional Officer for the Ghana National Fire Service PR Department. We'll be back with some more, and sports will come your way, don't worry. We're looking into the World Cup and exactly what to expect from the Black Stars and the other nations that will be represented. We'll be back with more.